Okay, so what's the pick about today?
Yeah, we're down here again protesting and letting the board of directors know we're unhappy that what's going on. Trimet continues to break the law. Unfortunately, I don't think it's been completely put out there, but the message is they're breaking the law. We have binding arbitration. We have chosen not to withhold service and go into a third party. Trimet continues to refuse to do that. Although we've had a couple of conversations with Trimet informal on where we're at, we're getting closer and hopeful that we can come up with something. However, the bottom line is this: for good collective bargaining agreements to come forward, for good open dialogue, Trimet needs to rescind their implementation, their illegal action, and get back to the bargaining table or allow the third party to make the decision. By Trimet breaking the law, it puts this entire community in jeopardy. They're saying, we don't care what the law is. We don't care that you've chosen not to withhold service. So now we're doing informational tickets. We're going to go talk to the board today. We're going to talk about safety. One of the issues that hasn't been articulated well. And although Tom Walsh, former general manager, put out a October 2010 report referencing safety, unfortunately it's been whitewashed and the issues that are out there. And here, let me give you a couple examples, and I'll be reading it all today. We have operators that are getting shocked on buses, on trains. Enough shock to go into the system that killed them. Trimet's known about it, they've covered it up, they're not doing anything about it.
How are they getting shocked?
They are getting shocked from the control console. They must have two hands on the dead man switch and one on the mushroom. There's a flaw within the Type 2 systems that's creating a shock within the system. We've had people that have been injured. They're either losing work or they're driving around in pain, being distracted. We have huge problems out there. The Gilly buses still to this day have pillar problems that when making a left-hand turn create a visible problem, and we have had fatal injuries because of this. We have in their own studies for the last 3 years, they've known of this, continue to do so.
Well, let's talk real quick. You said Trimet is acting illegally with the negotiations leading into binding arbitration. Can you give me some specifics of how they're not negotiating in good faith and how they've acted illegally?
Yeah, real quick. We all know we put in binding arbitration. Why did we do that? Because we believe the citizens of this community deserve transportation just like firefighters and police officers, meaning we will settle our issues by a third party. We will not withhold service. We go in and bargain good faith. Trimet puts in their final offer. Trimet declares impasse. People need to understand the AG has been willing to meet at every step of the way. Trimet has said enough's enough. We're moving forward. Trimet put in their final offer that did not contain the information that they bargained for. That's an unfair labor practice. We filed it. Trimet retaliated. Why did Fred Hansen, the general manager of Trimet, continue to pay the wages and benefits out there? They did that because they knew that's what the law was. So unfortunately, they've got bad legal advice that says, you know what, we can move forward. The language within the statute says they can pass on increased cost unless, big part of the piece is missing, unless the contract provides otherwise. For the last 35 years, our collective bargaining agreement has spoke to 100% paid medical insurance. And everybody wants to continue to talk about health insurance and where we're at. We know it's expensive. We're not unwilling to meet. We're not unwilling to try to figure out other opportunities to try to save funding. What we are against, what we are totally against, is this arbitrary, we're going to break the law. We want you guys to abide by the law. And we all know in all recent events that somebody that breaks the law at Trimet, they get fired, they lose their job. Somebody at Trimet needs to start losing theirs. Neil McFarland is not doing what he needs to do. Unfortunately, he inherited this mess. It's time for him to start being a leader and start recognizing the importance of how we can collectively get together.
Let me ask you quickly, as you know, there's a website called Oregon Capital News. It's maintained by the Cascade Policy Institute. It released a database of salaries for everyone in Trimet. It looks like it's about a year old because it still lists Fred Hansen as the general manager. But on there it has several bus drivers making more than $90,000 a year. Doing the math, how do people do the math on that? What's going on?
Well, the first people need to recognize is, so we know they're not making a ton of money. The reality is they're working their butts off. In fact, so what we've done is we've victimized those who have stand up and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to volunteer. I'm going to come in and make this happen. I'm going to make sure this system gets moved out. TriMet has not hired people in the last 2 years. In the last 2 years, TriMet did not hire enough people. So we're trying to get service out there. And so what our hardworking employees do, our members show up for work. They work their days off. The average is they must be working 70 hours a week in order to get that. So unfortunately, I don't know if you'd like your full name and address put out anywhere, or how people can get a hold of them. We have drivers that unfortunately run into cases every day where we have citizens in this community that want to victimize our operators. We have had an alarming increase in assaults. People are frustrated. They're frustrated because their lines have gotten shorted, or the bus isn't coming on time. That's not the operator's fault. That's due to the system shrinking. That's due to more mobility devices on the system. And it's unfortunate that TriMet hasn't taken a look at that. $100,000 a year. It makes a nice story, but the reality is we've heard this all before. Go back in that same website they look at. Go look at what Waterworks is making. Go look at what the police department's making. Go look at what the fire department is making. Why is this a race to the bottom? Why are we having this debate that we need to run it into the ground? We're here. We negotiated our benefits. We took less in wages. Let's have them give us back those wages throughout the years. These operators, mechanics, customer service supervisors are making less per hour than the norm. The reality is, if you take our wages, our benefits, and by the way, we don't have PERS. We have an underfunded defined contribution plan at $72 per month. People aren't talking about our mini-run operators that are paying a huge amount of their insurance, that are getting less than 30 hours a week. People are only looking at what they want to look at, and it's unfortunate.
I think most people who ride the bus, who are passengers in TriMet, don't know the difference between a mini-run bus driver, a part-time bus driver, and a regular bus driver. Do you think that the union needs to do more to educate the public about what these salaries mean, what's being paid by who?
Absolutely, and we will continue to educate the general public on the hard work that our members are doing and the difficulties that take place, because I think it is an understanding. I've seen some of these blogs out there. People think anybody can drive a bus. The reality is that these are professional operators, and we know when they're not paying attention, tragedy can happen. These are people that have to be drug-free, that come to work, that have an incredible amount of stress put on them. People don't recognize that stress is a deadly killer. We use more of our health insurance than anybody else. There's a reason why. Because we die younger. And we're going to continue to work on educating. McFarland is finally getting the message. Let's have a wellness program. Let's talk about how we can make people healthier. Let's talk about preventive maintenance. Let's get into it. It's all of our responsibilities on reducing those costs. But first, today we're talking about safety. We're talking about how do we keep these people safe out there, our general public, the members. We need to not whitewash these programs. We're not allowed into it. They didn't bring our representatives, even though I explained to Mr. McFarland before we ever started this process. It's critical that we have boots on the ground that know what's going on. They did not bring people within our safety community in those garages and bring them to the table. Why?
Let me ask you this, John. We talk a lot. The first I heard that you were upset about the lack of a union representation in the safety task force after it was all done. Why was it more effort to get that information out to the public?
Yeah, well, there's a strategy as we're moving forward. Until this event that has taken place, this TriMet breaking the law, the ATU has never, go on record, go back and look and see when the ATU has came out negatively on TriMet. We recognize some of the difficulties it takes in order to operate a system, and we are not that we jump on the TV or through the radio or the paper every day and complain of what the issue is. We believe the best job is to work internally on these issues and get them settled. We respect Tom Walsh and his efforts of putting this forward. However, he was spoon-fed, he was whitewashed, and we did not get the full picture. And we will describe that in detail today with the board on some of these issues that are out there.
Give me a couple of examples of what you're doing.
Yeah, Type 2 trains are shocking our members. Type 4 trains have LCD monitors that aren't working properly, obstructions. We've had people that have been, we've only got a couple of cases that are on, that have made the news, but we've had a ton of people that have been left up and stopped. We've had people that have been terminated. part of the problem is because of these glitches within the system. They've had seamen out there working, which is the contractor, working night and day to try to solve some of these problems. They're not telling anybody about it. We have the ghillie system that we have problems that continue to create obstructions when people are making left-hand turns. Their own evidence shows that. We've had fatalities. When is it going to stop? When is TriMet going to actually get to real results? And the first step is taking some of our hardworking individuals and putting them forward. Union representation needs to be involved. Our collective bargaining agreement speaks to the collective of both of us and our safety on it. However, they continue to have their own meetings and not involve us, and that's unfortunate.
Speaking about the risk of you were talking about the risk of the left-hand turn. Is the union going to appeal the firing of Sandy Day?
Yes, currently that is moving forward. We have a three-step process in the grievance. It continues to move forward. It's working through that system. Ultimately, the executive board will make the decision on a recommendation, and then it'll go to the membership. That has not taken place yet.
Okay, one last question. We were talking about the overtime that's being worked by a lot of drivers. Are you saying in order for a driver, an operator, to get $100,000 a year, they have to be working about 70 hours a week? Is that safe?
Well, I think we need to make sure people are well rested, and DOT has already taken a look at TriMet's activities under hours of service and where they need to go. We definitely need to take a look at it. I think under our wellness program that should be part of our area. I know that we do have a pretty strict system on making sure people are fit for duty as they come to work. But the reality is, we all know if you work too much, you get burned out, and it can create problems. Bottom line is TriMet, so we need the system to work. So it sounds like we need to have more people there. There's a reason why they keep working this. So now those who are overachievers or helping to are willing to help out are now being the victim of, hey, they're making too much money. We absolutely want to put safety first. That's what we're here to talk about today, safety. And we're here to talk about, again, TriMet's inability to come to the table and continue to break the law. When we break the law, we go to jail, we lose our job. It's time that somebody at TriMet management starts losing their job.
So give me those names.
Yeah.